right.
We ready, girl. You ready?
We are so ready to jump into this episode. Hey, y'all. Hey,
Hey, y'all.
welcome to another episode of Real Women, Real Talk. And we are in episode 15.
Mm, mm, mm.
1-5. So excited about that. So I am your co-host, Shavon Carter. I am one of the facilitators of Real Women, and I am joined by my sister.
I am Trenace Richardson. I am the founder of Real Women and so happy to be here with y'all and with you, Shavon.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time today, sister. I cannot wait to get into this conversation. But if this is your first time joining us, first of all, let me just say welcome. Welcome to the
Welcome.
fun.
Mhm.
And we hope that from this conversation, you feel inspired, you feel entertained, you feel encouraged, and you feel seen. We
Mhm.
want this podcast to be an extension of the amazing work that we do in Real Women Rock, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization who is all about helping women become better versions of themselves. And so we have sister circles that allows women to have a safe space where they can just do them and really focus
Mhm.
on them and take off all the titles, all the labels, all the responsibilities, and really have some time to focus on themselves. And so we want this podcast to be an extension of that sister circle experience that we offer on a monthly basis in different ways, in person and virtual. So, sister, are you ready to dive into this conversation today?
I think I am. We're about to find out. I think
We're
I
going to find out.
am.
We are going to find out. So, our first
Mhm.
segment, Real Talk. We just talk about what's been going on with us, how we're doing. And so, sister, Real Talk, how you doing today?
This is a good day. We are at the beginning of the year
Mm.
when this airs, and I'm feeling all the newness and freshness already. I really am. I feel like new years bring new opportunity, new grace, and I'm feeling it all. So I feel really good.
Yeah.
Also at the taping, I'm looking forward to a break. So I'm certain that I will have fully enjoyed this break. And so I'm really looking forward to this episode. How are you doing?
So I'm doing good. So at the time of this taping, it's a little rainy outside, so it
Yeah.
makes you want to be cozy,
Mhm.
on the sofa, curled up with a warm blanket and the fireplace on and that kind of stuff. So it's one of those kind of days. But I'm really feeling good. I feel
Mhm.
reflective today. So
Mhm.
when we get into our next segment, I really want to dive deep into
Mhm.
the topic that we're going to talk about because I feel like there's so much that's coming up for me, revelations, clarity. And so it's just really helping me to feel more aligned with myself, more in tune with myself. So I look forward to talking about that in our next segment. So
I'm looking forward to it too. Yes. I feel all the energy already. I'm
you
looking
do, it's just
forward to
like
this one
oozing
too.
out of me. Yes.
Mhm. Looking forward to it.
So, before we dive deep into the water,
Mhm.
2024, we have the Olympics coming up this summer.
We
So, I want to
do.
ask you, sister, what sport would you compete in if you were to be an Olympian?
Hey, I've had dreams.
Okay. Okay.
So there was a point in my young adult life, my youth, I will more so JV. I
Okay.
started by running track. That was one of the first extracurricular activities that I did. And
Hmm.
girl. And so one practice, I smoked everybody. It was like the
Hmm.
200-meter and the 800-meter relay. I
Yeah.
was booking.
Yeah.
And they were so impressed. The coaches were so impressed that they put me in my first meet.
Okay.
And I don't know whether it was the heat and the pressure of being on and other teams and everything, But I felt like it was rocks and bricks in my feet that first meet. And them babies said, not, we're not gonna do that again. We're not
Oh,
gonna put you out
no.
there again. And of course, they can't kick you off the team or anything. But
Yeah.
what happened was I found out that choir met at the same time as JV
Okay.
track. And
Mhm.
I was like, let me go on over here and sing
Yeah.
since that's what I know how to do. And
I
long
do
story
that.
short, if I could have been an Olympian, it would definitely be track and field. Those girls are fly.
Yes.
When you see the African American women that are
Yes.
in there smoking, I would
Yes.
do that. And of course, I like gymnastics. So I just think, those girls look forever young and they
Mhm.
are flexible and nimble and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So those are the two I would choose.
Okay. Okay. So let me tell you, we are indeed sisters,
Hmm.
and we have similar backgrounds because track and field would be my event. And I used to run
Wow.
track in junior high school too.
Oh my goodness. We learned stuff.
Very briefly,
Yeah.
because I think I did run the 200 also and the 4x4 relay race.
Okay.
So I would always start out so energetically, just, take off running and just be so fast. And then
Hmm.
I run out of gas really quickly.
Yeah.
And then be
We
the
should have
last
been in the 100-meter,
one, right?
50-yard dash or something.
Exactly. That's what they should have put me in. But I had so much energy in the beginning and then I just ran out of gas. So I was the last one on the finish line. So I did not last long on the track team. I wanted to run because my mom was on the track team. And
Mm.
that was her sport, when she was in school, and she had these nice track legs and her butt was all nice. So I wanted to be like my mama,
Yeah.
and, and do
Go
that, but it
ahead.
didn't last long. But if I were to compete in the Olympics, I just love the track and field. I love that event. I love the races, both the men
Mhm.
and the women, and to see us and the style and the outfits, the nails,
Girl,
the hair.
my.
Back in the day, we used to see Flojo, and
Mhm.
now we see what's the baby name?
Oh, I don't wanna get it
The new
wrong.
baby.
Shima
Yeah,
Shima
yeah, the new
Yep,
baby.
Imma
Yep,
get it
that's
wrong, but yep,
killing the
that's her.
game. Yep, her. Y'all
Mhm.
know who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just love to see them run and just the discipline that's required, how cut up, their
Mhm.
bodies are and all of that. So yeah, I love track and field.
I love it, I do. I
Mhm.
think that it is so impressive that
Yeah.
just the body shape and keeping it in shape and being
Mhm.
able to move. Woo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good
I
thing.
found it out about you. How about that?
Exactly. So when you said that, I was like, really? Me too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did. That's so funny.
Uh-huh. That is so funny. So y'all let us know what event you would want to participate in if you were participating in the Olympics in the summer of 2024.
Mhm.
And like you, I also like the gymnasts. Like they be getting when they do the
Mhm.
floor exercises and they got that
Woo!
music, they're just tumbling all over the place.
Those babies are just bouncing like a ball, just going.
Oh my goodness, I just
What
love
are
it.
you made of?
I have
Lord.
so much respect for athletes, period, because
Mhm.
of the discipline that they have
Yes.
to have, in order to get in shape and practice, religiously and eat right and all of that
Yep.
stuff and get the proper rest. Like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That to me, and I'll say being in the military, I think lines up for me in my head. Those 2
Mm,
things line up, just the discipline that it takes to do what you do every day. But
mhm.
yeah, the shape that you have to be in to
Yeah,
keep it going.
that's amazing.
All respect due.
I know that's right. Y'all are doing the daggone thing. So yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, y'all let us know what you would
Mhm.
participate in. We would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment on the YouTube page, on TikTok, on our Instagram page, or you can email us at info@realwomenrock.org.
Mhm.
All right, sister, are you ready for this next segment where we're going to take a deep dive into today's topic?
Child, I got my scuba gear for this one. Let me gather my stuff. Let me gather my things.
It is going to be needed because
Mhm.
this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart for sure. And it's actually a topic that I introduced to real women because of my own journey. And just, it has been so impactful for me, and just the stuff that we've talked about in the Real Women Sister Circles in the workshop has been impactful for many other women. So today's topic is pieces of me.
Mm, mm, mm.
So
Girl.
if you said, mm-mm-mm.
Let me tell you, because we did a whole intensive
We did.
surrounding, in addition to the master classes that you, and shout out to one of our other lead facilitators and our sister
Yeah.
Nefertiria McBride have co-hosted, but we've touched on them, and then we spent a whole weekend in 2022
Mhm.
delving into the pieces of us.
Yeah.
And every time it gets me, every time I learn something new about myself, every time. So I'm ready.
Every time. Every time. So if you're not familiar with this, if you haven't gone through the process with us in Real Women, I want to share with you what this is in layman's terms as much as I can, because I can talk all day about this subject. But one of the things that I love about being a part of Real Women is that it offers a space for us to really figure us out, to get to
Mhm,
know ourselves on an intimate level in a way that we have never experienced ourselves before. Because,
mhm,
like I said before, when I started this episode, it's a space where you can take off the mask, take off the title, and just really focus on who you are. And a lot of
yes.
us don't take the time to do that. So, Pieces of Me is all about going deeper within yourself to figure out how you're wired.
Yes.
That's the short of it, right? And so how it came about was I was in therapy for a long time, and one of the tools that my therapist use is a tool or a model called internal family systems. And so it is a model that is used, that is designed just to help you develop a healthy relationship with yourself and identify the different aspects of you, the different characteristics of yourself that inform why you do the things that you do, and
Mhm,
how you're wired, right?
mhm,
So, as Trenace said, we do a whole master class about this topic. And it was like 5 hours, I believe, this class is. And we
mhm,
did a whole intensive. We've done sister circles on this topic. So it is a very detailed process. So we won't be able to give you, the depths of it in this short amount of time, but we just want to introduce you to it. And if it's something that you're interested in knowing more about, you can reach out to us, and we can schedule a one-on-one with you to walk you through it in a little bit more detail.
mhm,
But before I get into the question for you, Trenace, I just want to kind of set up the context of it a little bit more so that people can understand. And then I want to know from you, like, how it impacted you going through that process. So
absolutely.
the pieces of me, if we were to break it out in simple terms, for this, is I want you to think about family dynamics, right?
Mhm.
And so the movie that came to mind as I was thinking about this was The Nutty Professor. So if you've ever seen that movie, the part one, where the family was sitting at the dinner table, you had the
Mhm,
grandmother, the mother, the father, the uncle, the nephew, and then you had Sherman Clump, right? So if you think about the different roles that they played at that table, it
this is
can
so
in
good.
it
Go
really
ahead.
describes like the family dynamic, right? And so the concept of internal family systems is saying that just like we have different roles in the family dynamic, we also have those roles internally.
Yeah.
So if you think about those family members, you had the father who was the authoritarian. So there's a part of you that may be like the manager, the one that calls the shots. You had the mother who was like the nurturer and the encourager. So then you have a part of you who is very nurturing, encouraging,
Mhm.
You have the son who was Sherman Clump, and he was accomplished and successful and just a little different, from the rest of the family. So that part of you is just like the go-getter.
Mhm.
And then you had the uncle who just like to keep it real and make sure you you staying true to yourself. So there's another part of you. So we can go on. And then you had the child at the table who, can represent like your inner child, that younger part of you.
Mhm.
So if you think about it in that way, this tool is to help you understand the different aspects of you, the different characteristics, and how those aspects interact with each other.
Got
And
you.
looking internally and understanding those things will help you to understand how you interact subconsciously on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And it will clue you into some of the internal dialogue that's going on behind the scenes, whether you tap into it or not. It's really
Mhm.
happening. And so it's just a way for you to explore who you are, how you're wired, and just to, have some dialogue with yourself, and dissect yourself in an intimate way. So
Mhm.
that's the shortest version that I could use to explain this concept. So I wanted to hear from you, sister, as it relates to the pieces of me and having gone through the more detailed versions of this on several occasions. How has it impacted you in helping you to get to know yourself better?
Wow. Wow. Um, it's honestly, I love the analogy that you gave because it has given me language
Mhm,
for what was happening inside of me that I felt and I knew, but maybe could not express as
mhm,
clearly and articulately as I can now.
mhm,
That many of us will say, you know, I'm sad or I'm very contemplative right now, or, I'm having fun, to understand from whence that comes inside
mhm,
of me.
mhm,
And then to know that there are times when I feel like I am not in control of my emotions, or I'm not feeling well and can't identify exactly what's going on in me and why, to
mhm,
be able to move into this pieces of me or internal family system thought process to dissect what's going on and organize it in my head.
mhm.
It has made me a better manager of myself.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has helped me to manage myself better.
Mhm,
It has given me language in my journal.
mhm,
It has given me language for my relationships with my husband and my children. It has empowered me to be a better mother, to understand what might be going on inside of my children,
mhm,
and not just blame everything on an action or everything on what they are feeling or saying at the time.
mhm,
That I'm able to dig deeper than the surface because of my better understanding of
mhm.
of internal family systems and myself.
Yeah,
I feel like I know me better, so I
mhm,
can manage me better as a result. And I don't know if you want me to go into some of the pieces as it
mhm,
relates to, but I've always known that I've had this intellectual piece. Like
mhm.
I am a self-professed nerd. I love learning and I
Yeah,
love knowing, and so that's been a definite piece of me, the creative part of me that just wants to sit and bask in music and poetry and
mhm.
art and theater and to create, but also to enjoy. And just if I could sit in that space, that part of me would just live and breathe and be happy.
Yeah,
um and there are so many other pieces, I won't go into all of them, but to be able to recognize that when I need the opportunity to be creative, I can call her forth. I can say, this is the piece of me that needs expression right now. And I'm
Mhm.
probably feeling a little depressed because I haven't allowed the creative part of me to be expressed. And
Mhm.
so it's made me a better manager of myself and my
Yeah.
relationships. I
Yeah.
hope that kind of answered your question because it's been
Mhm.
everything to me. It really has.
Yeah. And that's the point of it. Like, for me, why this tool has been so impactful and why I appreciate it so much, and I think I've shared this on a previous episode, but for a long time, I used to feel a lot of self-hatred, a lot of
Mm,
guilt, a lot of feelings of depression, especially when I started therapy, just dealing with all that and just did not like myself. So there was a
yeah,
lot of overcompensating academically, professionally, so that I can perform and prove to myself that I was a good person.
yeah,
And then also looking to men to validate me, to affirm me, to make me feel good about who I was because I didn't internally.
yeah.
So I really embrace this tool because, one, it helped me to understand how many different pieces I had, and I won't go into all of them either, but one that I will point out is the one that was the critical one,
Mhm,
who is very black or white. It's either
mhm,
this or that, has a rule book that she has created from all kind of stuff, that
mhm.
she has written herself. She published it, she wrote it, and she goes by it, and she keeps rewriting it when
Yeah,
she feels like it. And so that critical piece of me was the one, and that judge was driving a lot of my emotions of feeling the
mhm,
self-hatred because she was always beating me up for you didn't do this or you did that. So to understand, one, that that piece was a part of me, and then
mhm.
to understand what role that piece was trying to play in my life. Like,
Yeah,
her role was not to just badger me, but it was almost like a protector, like
mhm,
that she was trying to do to keep me safe, and that's the only way she knew how to do it. So going through this process and using this tool helped me to exercise more self-compassion, more
yeah,
understanding, more
mhm,
self-awareness, and then that helped me to activate self-love,
mhm,
self-confidence, and just self-acceptance, really,
mhm,
because it's like,
mhm,
oh, now I get you, I see you now, I understand why you do the
mhm,
things that you do. So
mhm.
that, if you think about that just from day-to-day relationships with people, when you ask probing questions and you really get to know a person, it's like, "Oh, now I see why you do that. I
Yeah,
understand you," you know?
mhm,
So that's the gift that I was able to offer myself through this tool,
mhm,
which is why it's so important, because so many of us just don't know how we're wired, and
mhm,
we operate with so much criticism, so much judgment, and just um, talk so negatively about ourselves, when if we just took the time to explore,
mhm.
we would really see that we're not as bad as we have been telling ourselves that we are.
Yeah, yeah, so
Mhm.
good. You made me think about, um, pieces of the intensive and
Mhm.
how we did our best over a couple of days to break the pieces of the
Yeah.
components of this down
Mhm.
and encourage people to own and embrace their story
Yeah.
and let's tell the story. Let's own the story for ourselves
Mhm.
and practice kind of sharing it in a safe space. And then the parts of those stories that are not pretty, where we are our own worst critic,
Mhm.
that by the time we got to me, not just having learned it from you all, but being able to share this piece. I think mine was love her, right? So love that
Yeah.
piece of her, that we have the opportunity to do what you said, look at her with compassion,
Mhm.
understand what she's been through, and then speak love to her as
Mhm.
we would want someone else to do to us,
You're
for us,
right.
you
Mhm.
know? Yeah,
Yep.
I think some episodes ago we were talking about how I did this practice, just this exercise to example how negative our self-talk is, where I said it out loud to one
Mhm.
of our real women sisters.
Mhm.
And conversely, it is just as powerful
Mhm.
that if I were to sit here and pour love on you, and I didn't say this earlier, but you are glowing over there, sister. You
Oh,
look
thank you.
amazing.
Thank
You
you.
really do. You are
Thank
glowing. The
you.
whole time you've been talking, I've been like, yes. But seriously, what I just did, and I would, it's so sincere. It just
Uh-huh.
happens to be in an appropriate moment. But
Mhm.
what just happened with you, lighting up, giggling, just all
Yeah.
of that, we can give ourselves that gift by
Mhm.
being loving and compassionate and saying, I this may be something that you aren't as proud of, or this may
Mhm.
be something that we did that we wish didn't happen to us, even
Yeah.
that we
Mhm.
couldn't control. But I love you because you're a survivor and you're still here.
Mhm.
And to just pour
Mhm.
on. I love how you handle people now with compassion, because you weren't handled with compassion. But you
Yeah.
to say those kinds of words to myself out
Mhm.
loud, or in the
Mhm.
mirror, or in a journal, it makes all the difference in the world, because we're
Mhm.
not so quickly looking for it from somebody else if we
Mhm.
can give it to ourselves first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love that you said that, identifying those parts of us and pouring into, those parts of us. Because another thing that we talk about in this model is really taking time with that piece of us that we try to suppress or that
Mhm.
we reject, or is like, I don't want to be like this. I want to take
Yep.
this part out of me.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I learned through this tool and through therapy is it's not about eradicating any parts
Mhm.
of you, but it's
Mhm.
about integration and it
Mhm.
really integrating and accepting all parts of you. So if you have a part of you that, just pops off at the mouth and just says anything that you want to say, and you really don't like that about you because people
Mhm.
it has hurt people's feelings or it
Mhm.
has really gotten you into a lot of trouble, that's the piece that I would encourage you to start with. Like,
Mhm.
I wonder what's going on with that piece, what they're trying to do. Like, is that a
Mhm.
defense mechanism? Are they
Yes.
trying to protect you from something? Are they trying to get them before the person gets you,
Mhm.
and protect that little girl in you or that little boy in you that, it just wants to feel safe. So here's the advocate, the one that is more vocal and doing all the talking so that people can't see that vulnerable part of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I
Yeah.
take that one step deeper before
Uh-huh.
we move
Yep.
forward? Because I'm thinking about one of my pieces, and just all of my upbringing says she's either not supposed to be there or she never gets to have a say. Just
Mm.
that little freaky deaky piece of me, that
Yeah.
little what has been described as promiscuous
Mm.
and fast tail, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call her, the
Yeah.
the the sexual part of me, or the expressive part of me from that space
Mhm.
has been suppressed
Yeah.
and told no, 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 no for so
Mhm.
long, that by the time, and she was taken advantage of too,
Yep.
right? So
Mhm.
because and I'm speaking of me, don't not
Yep.
not confusing anybody,
Mhm.
because we were molested when I was
Mhm.
young. uh,
Yep.
that part of her, that part of me decided, you know what, I've been awakened a whole lot
Mhm.
earlier than I probably should have been. So
Yep.
let's see what's out here. Like,
Right. Right.
and so so we that part of me began to explore probably a lot earlier than she should have.
Mhm.
And despite my teaching and upbringing, it was happening inside of me. It was happening. And
Yep.
so there's this internal war, because outwardly I know how I'm supposed to quote unquote behave, but I know what's happening internally with me and privately behind closed doors.
Mhm.
And so what I had to realize was, this is not a part of me I'm supposed to throw away, that I'm supposed to put in a back burner, never to be seen ever again. I am
Mhm.
to learn how to manage her, to
Yeah.
speak life to her,
Mhm.
to hear her out, to allow her to share that, we were awakened too early. Someone took advantage of this part of us. And
Mhm.
so loving on her gives her the opportunity to now be in a healthy marriage, in a
Yeah.
healthy relationship,
Mhm.
and with myself, to see myself lovingly, and then
Mhm.
to be able to give myself lovingly. So it's so much involved in not throwing pieces of you away.
Right, right. Yeah.
So
'Cause I
yeah.
think a lot of times, I know for me, I'll speak for myself, I just want it to be fixed. I would feel emotions, I don't wanna feel this, so fix it, like,
Yeah.
take it and move it out of the way so I don't have to feel, how I've been feeling. I don't wanna feel guilty, I don't wanna feel sad, I don't wanna feel depressed, so get this out of me so I don't have
Mm,
to feel it. And
mm,
the goal is not to not feel. It
mm,
is
mm,
about
mm.
managing how you feel.
That's right.
And that's a whole different perspective on it. So that requires embracing, that requires acceptance, that requires a little bit more work than initially than I was willing to do because I was just trying to get to the destination of not feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mhm.
Or some people would think that you're supposed to feel bliss all the time.
All the
Like,
time.
if I am gonna feel, it's
Yeah.
supposed to feel good all the time.
Yes,
I'm
all
supposed
the
to
time.
feel all of the positive words all the
Mhm,
time and never any of the negative ones. But literally, if we did not have the negative feelings, the negative thoughts, we
mhm,
would not be able to appreciate the
mhm.
positive ones. Like, there would be no need for a joy if there were not a sorrow.
Absolutely.
And as cliche as that sounds, it is my balancing of my
Mhm.
understanding that that everything is cyclical and
Yeah.
seasonal, and that if I expect that, if I don't expect to feel good all the time and I
Mhm.
expect some sorrow, then I can manage it better and it doesn't trip me up every single time it comes, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that I got my super cape on and I know what to do every single time, but I've
Mhm.
got tools in place because I
Mhm.
know it's coming. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and that is a real part of me where I like to feel good and pleasurable and excited all the time, and so
yeah.
I even had to learn, like, that is not sustainable, like, you can't that's
Mhm,
not realistic for you to just be feeling good all the time. You're gonna
mhm.
have other emotions, and you need to give yourself room and time and space to feel all of your feelings and not just the ones that bring you joy and pleasure,
So good.
because those other feelings have a purpose, they have a space, so that you can be whole, within yourself and experience everything, that you're going through. So
And
yes,
and
y'all.
that's just 101 in what, 15 minutes.
15 minutes, I'm telling you, and we won't get into the other stuff. I'll save the other stuff I wanted to talk about in another episode because that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. But
Okay,
yeah,
because
yeah,
okay, okay, okay,
we're gonna save it because that's a whole nother hour by itself.
okay.
So so we'll save that. But I my purpose in talking about this today is to introduce you, if you've never heard of this concept before, to a tool that can really help you just get to know you a little bit more and have offer a little bit more self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-love.
Mhm,
So, if you are in therapy, I encourage you to bring up this tool to your therapist and ask
mhm,
them, if it's something that you all could practice. Like I said, if it's something that you want to have a one on one about, you can reach out to us, info@realwomenrock.org, and we can schedule
mhm,
a session with you just to kind of walk you through identifying the different aspects of you. And
mhm.
because we're really passionate, I'm really passionate about you just having a love relationship with yourself that is a little deeper than what you're experiencing right now, because it
Mhm,
gives you access to so much more freedom, power, and peace that just can change your life. So, yeah.
mhm, mhm. I love it. So
Yes.
good. I'm so glad you introduced this, and we'll be able to dig into that even more later, I'm sure.
Yes, yes, we
Absolutely.
will.
Mhm.
All right, so we're gonna come up out of the water
Mhm.
and let's talk about putting ourselves in her shoes.
Okay.
Now, this sister is a scenario. I heard this on the radio one time, and there was a lot of back and forth between the male host and the female host. I'm just talking about this topic, and they had different perspectives on how they would handle it. So I'm curious
Mhm.
to see how you would handle this situation.
Okay.
So we're putting ourselves in Kim's shoes. So Kim has a 17-year-old son whose name is Josh, and
Mhm.
he plays football at his local high school. When
Okay.
he goes to practice, he's supposed to have his practice jersey or he'll have to run and do push-ups.
Mhm.
Josh realized that he left his jersey. One day, Josh realized he left his jersey at home. So he called his mom, Kim, to bring it to him.
Okay.
Now, she searched his room and around the house several times looking for that jersey, but she couldn't find it.
Mhm.
When she told Josh that she couldn't locate it, he was like, "Could you just buy me another one? Like, I need it for practice. Just go get
Mm.
me another one and bring it to me." So
Mm.
she decided not to buy the jersey, leaving Josh to deal with the consequences of doing the exercises, running and doing push ups.
Mhm.
As a parent, what would you have done in this situation? Would you have bought the jersey or would you have taught your son a lesson?
Mm. Great question. Great scenario. So this is going to feel like a cop out, but it's not.
Okay.
It really depends on how he's been behaving lately.
Okay. Hmm.
I'm really honest, like because I, I'm putting myself in Kim's shoes,
Hmm.
and so the son that I actually have, or would hope to have, would in general be a good kid in
Hmm.
general.
Hmm.
But one thing that's important for a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 21-year-old is to really instill responsibility and accountability,
Hmm.
and learning consequences come with stuff, right?
Hmm.
So if we have been in a season of a very responsible Josh who
Hmm.
has been doing really accepting the accountability and responsibilities that he's been given,
Hmm.
then maybe, yeah, maybe I would go buy it, because my thought is if I can't find it right here, then maybe we're gonna have to buy it anyway, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and today, if I got time now rather than later, fine. If it'll help,
Hmm.
especially if he's been doing what he's been doing what he's supposed to do.
Hmm.
If he has been slack lately, if he's just been taken for granted, I'm asking him to clean his room. I'm asking him to spend his money wisely. He's asking me for money constantly because he's spending it on chips and dip and all this stuff. Child, do them push-ups. Go on and run them laps. It's
Get
good
the
for your
running.
health. It's
Right.
good for your health. You'll find it when you get home. That's what
Yeah.
I tell you. You lost it. You'll find. I don't wear. This is how, and this is all my mama. I hear my mama in me all the time. I don't wear your jersey. I have never put your jersey on. I
Yeah.
never have.
Right.
So I have no clue where your jersey is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would just depend on how responsible he's been lately. Because all of
Mhm.
us, are due a moment and
Yeah.
need some support.
Uh-huh.
But this would be the time I'd say, all this crap you've been doing, go
Mhm.
do the run it off. Mhm. So,
Okay.
what would
So,
you do?
all right. So what's interesting about this, you said it would depend on how he's being, right?
Mhm.
My first thought was, well, it depends on what I'm doing in the moment.
No, that's right.
It depends on if I feel like going to buy this
Oh,
jersey and do all this running around,
oh,
or if
that's
I
funny.
had something that I needed to do, then
Mhm.
I'm not being inconvenienced in this moment. Like I
Yeah.
look for it tore the
Mhm.
house up trying to find it.
Mhm.
I got something to do. So I
Yep.
need you to go ahead and run, and,
Mhm.
and and deal with what you had to deal with as far as the consequences. And we'll figure it out after practice so that you won't
Yeah.
have to keep going around that circle or whatever. But if I'm just sitting at home chilling,
Yeah.
I may have
Me.
and gone and got it. Just depends. Um,
Mhm.
so it would be, and this is coming from someone who doesn't have children, and so I
Mhm.
think there's a level of not knowing,
Mhm.
if how I would be if I did, it may change, but just me thinking about how I'm wired right now,
Mhm.
it how I feel is what I'm gonna do.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Whether I'm gonna get it or not. So yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're
that's
not dealing with a 7-year-old, you're dealing with a
right.
17-year-old, so that's
17-year-old.
different. That
Mhm.
makes a
Yep.
difference.
Mhm.
And I guess I think about, I don't fault you at all, and I think it's a good thought because we will do too much
Mhm.
for others,
Yeah.
including our kids,
Mhm.
to the point of enabling them
Yes.
and being their crutch,
Mhm.
and they won't figure it out for themselves. They won't even
Yeah.
have the critical skills to figure it out for themselves or go through
Mhm.
some rough patches to make them stronger. And I
Mhm.
don't want my my child, whether it's in this scenario, this hypothetical child, or my children, I don't want anybody to suffer any,
Mhm.
I want my children to do better and be better than what I've experienced.
Mhm.
And I also know it's some spoiled tail kids walking around because
Yes.
they haven't been held responsible for anything. So
Mhm. And
yeah.
that's coming from someone who was a spoiled tail kid. And so I'm
Mm,
like, I know how it feels when I don't have to really deal with consequences. So I don't,
mm,
especially a boy, I would want
mhm,
my son to like, yes, I would spoil him, I'm sure, but I would also want him to learn how to deal with the responsibility and
yeah,
consequences when you don't do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, yeah, because I was
absolutely.
spoiled, and honey, that ain't always good. So,
That
mhm.
is it. But it's so good that you recognize that,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah,
most kids that are spoiled will be like, "I'm not spoiled,"
oh
or
yeah.
"There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with being spoiled."
Mhm. Yeah, it make you rotten a little bit. Um, so yeah. So let us know what you would do if you were in Kim's shoes. Would you buy the jersey or will you have your son face the consequences of running laps and doing push-ups during practice? We want to
Mhm.
hear from you.
Mhm.
All right, sister. So we are at the last part of the show where we leave a spiritual nugget just to encourage our listeners, our viewers, and give them something to take away from this episode that they can apply to their lives and just stew on for the rest of the day or week. So, what
Mhm.
comes up for you from this episode?
Hmm. This has been a really good, refreshing. I mean, we've kind of kept it up here, you know.
Mhm.
I didn't pull out the tissue in that today. But honestly, what comes to mind is, if, and I am encouraging you who are listening while encouraging myself,
Mhm.
reminding myself that you are a mosaic.
Mm.
You are a mosaic. Um, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see mosaics, but whether they are, oh, I wish I had one right here beside me, but whether they are cup holders, the coasters, or the plant holders, the things that you can put under a plant. There are some that are just made all in a table or even in glass windows.
At the
But what
church.
they at the church,
Yeah.
right? The stained glass windows. Basically, they are broken pieces of glass or porcelain or clay, and someone literally breaks them in order to put them together and make something beautiful out of them.
Mhm.
And so I have had this revelation now for a long time, and it has only been strengthened by learning the internal family systems
Mhm.
that Shavon has introduced to us today. that I have different pieces of me, and perhaps one of them all on their own would feel incomplete. That if I
Mm,
only focused on the creative part of me, or if I only focused on the ambitious, assertive part of me, or if I only focused on the sexual part of me, that if that was the only piece of me that got expressed in my life at any point in time, that might seem incomplete, or I might even appear broken
mhm,
because I'm only living out a piece of me. But when I acknowledge and begin to identify and embrace all of my pieces
mm,
and begin to allow them to come together in such a way that I recognize that this is us, this is me.
mhm,
All of these pieces are me, that, as we said, we get to manage ourselves better. I end up coming together as this beautiful masterpiece
mhm,
that no one else can replicate. No one else looks like this masterpiece because they don't have these pieces, and
mhm,
these pieces don't come together in this way. The same is true for you,
mhm,
that whatever has happened in your life, whatever has felt like tragedy or trauma, whatever has resulted in what made you feel broken or sorrowful or depressed, identifying the piece of you that has affected and
mm,
allowing her to speak, allowing that piece of you to have voice in your life so that you can begin to identify your pieces and embrace them and acknowledge them in a way that says, I love all of who I am.
mm,
In that space, we become mosaic masterpieces.
mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, that is so good. I don't have
Mm,
anything to add on to that other
mhm.
than amen.
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 Amen. Thank you for that,
So
sister. This
good.
was a beautiful episode.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And thank you too for listening, for watching. And we hope that you will take some of the pieces from this episode to apply to your life. We are real women.
And real women talk.
Yes, we do. And we get to
Mm,
know ourselves too.
and we do.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Take
Bye.
care, y'all. Bye bye.